We're back, Mike Exeter, and this time we're in Stuart's wonderful studio in whereabouts are we near Oxford, aren't we?
Bath St Michael.
So yeah, Woodworm Studios, folks. This is the first time I've been here, but we're making some videos, and the first thing that came up was a little gadget that Mike bought with him, and it's actually called a Kemper profiler, and a lot of you are going to know what this is, but if you don't, we're just going to explain what it is and what it does. Sort of, isn't that right, Mike?
Yeah. So what we've got, Tony's brought some tracks along that have got a DI guitar on, and he wants to reamp them. So Stuart's got some nice amps here, but we've only got today. So we've got a sound that we really like, and it's coming through the amp, but we need to do some other work with some other sounds. So we've got the sound working in the track, and just to illustrate it, we're going to do all this in solo. So what you'll hear initially is the sound of the guitars being fed back through the amp, which is being played live by the computer. What we've done is we've profiled it, and it's a method where the Kemper actually sends signals out through the amp and gets a feed off the microphones, and takes various sonic measurements and whatever, profiles the amp. And I'm going to print a track of the Kemper, of the original amp, and then I'm going to print a track of the Kemper, and I'm going to punch in between the two, and they're pretty much as identical as you can get. So what that will enable us to do is, after the fact, go through and reamp all of the tracks that Tony's just got DIs on, and hopefully they'll have an album's worth of good guitar tones.
You know, we were talking earlier, it's not just like, okay, we're in a reamping situation.
Yeah.
Right here. So that's kind of useful because we can set up a bunch of amps,
Yeah.
get a bunch of sounds in the studio, profile them,
Yep.
take them back home, and then run the tracks through
Yep.
and print them. So that's one use. We were talking earlier about workflow
Yeah.
and how this can help in a kind of producing writing situation in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, what you can do is it's very easy to get caught up doing a whole album's worth of guitar parts because you've got a great sound. You know, you've rented a diesel amp and a 4x12 for the day, and you feel committed to put all the heavy guitar parts down. That doesn't always work from a workflow point of view. A guitarist is going to get bored doing that. So if you can get the sound you really like, profile it, you can continue working on that song and get some clean sounds. Put another amp up, use the high quality signal chain you got. You know, you may only have a couple of preamps, a couple of good mics or appropriate mics. So you can capture all of the different amps for this one song, and then you can use those profiled sounds as the basis to work on other songs. So it means you're not always on a production line of one guitar sound, then got on to the next, you know.
Of course, as well as a producer, I guess, you know, you could be doing a session in LA and you get a really good guitar sound, you take the profiler with you, you profile everything you get, and then you go back and you're working with another band and you go, do you know what? I want that sound. Now I'm in a different studio, I've got different gear, how am I going to recreate it? And so I know purists are going to say, look, it's not mics on an amp. It's not going to have the same guts.
But it was mics on an amp, and that's the amazing thing. There's also a feel thing through playing guitar through the profiler into the amp, and there's a function of being able to A/B the two, so you can actually be playing along and have someone switching between the live amp and the profile and feel the difference, and you can tweak it as you're making the profile, and then it's saved. Once the profile's been made, you've got gain, bass, middle, treble and presence as you have with a normal amp. So you can tweak that sound, and it's based on what you've got coming through your speakers. So you've created that sound. This isn't a one-stop guitar processor for finding a load of new sounds. The best way of using it is to use it as an aid to capturing the setup you had on a record. Amps die. I've had it on sessions where we've had to call in on a vintage amp a replacement. It doesn't sound the same. If that amp had been profiled, we could have carried on the session, and that session flow would have been brilliant. As it was, we had to wait for another one to get rented in, different sound. There's a likelihood that might go down. So there's loads and loads of methods for doing it, and ultimately maybe the 0.5% difference that it may sound doesn't add up to anything compared to keeping a musician in the zone and actually getting into work. So it's a workflow thing. It's not a device for just bashing presets.
This isn't a kind of cheap way of getting great guitar sounds at home. This is a producer's tool. So who is currently using this sort of technology? I mean, what's the trend?
It's everybody. I mean, you go onto Kemper's website and there's unusual. There's people from all the metal bands to Steve Winwood. He's hardly metal. He's a Kemper endorsee. You look on the who's who of Kemper people. There's a lot of producers using them just for that fact, because it means that the guitarist knows that their sound's being taken care of. It takes the pressure off of that walking into the studio thinking, oh God, what have we lost the ultimate sound for what we're trying to achieve, which there is no ultimate sound. But if the guitarist's comfortable, or the bass player, if they can feel right playing, then it's taken one more stress away from them. And the great thing is you can also get the sounds that say the guitarist's been working on. He can go away and do solos. He can plug into his rig at home. He can work on stuff. You can use it in a situation where the band may want to play live in the studio, but for logistic purposes and environment purposes, you're trying to get a great drum sound without as much bleed. If you can profile their setups, put them on Kempers, they're playing with their rig as far as they're concerned in headphones. If you've done your job properly, everybody can be in the room together. There's no guitars bleeding over anything else. Not that bleed's bad, but heavy music, you got a lot of people in a room together, it makes for a difficult job piecing all together. These are they're a tool to help us get the job done.
And they're the only kind of profiler available, aren't they? There aren't many options.
Yeah, it's it as far as I know. Yeah, there are other ones like modelling amps like the Fractal, which was very, very good. But this is just something different. This isn't coming at it from the basis of being a sound generator. This is purely about starting with profiles, and it's a usable thing. I'll take you through the profiling process, and you can see.
Just at this point, we're not trying to vie for an endorsement from.
No, I bought that. It's a tool. It's like having preamps. It's like having microphones. Yeah. It enables me to do a way better job.
So talk me through it. First of all, it's not the standard cabling setup, is it?
No, I mean what you have to feed it is it has to be in the signal path to go out to the amp. So initially, guitarist will plug into the front of it. It can be bypassed, and the output goes to the amp. The amp's mic'd up. You get the sound through the speakers as you do, in context with the rest of the track. You get your guitar sound coming through using the mics, all your techniques you know and love. That then gets bussed into the Kemper, and what comes out of the Kemper gets recorded to tape, to hard disk. So then...
Tape's fine.
Yeah, tape. So then, the Kemper will send out this series of tones, and it does its thing, and it basically works out the characteristics of the entire setup and puts it into its memory. You then play a little bit more guitar and various styles to refine the setup, and you've got some tweaking you can do. And then you can go an A/B between the live amp sound and the profiled sound and just get it as close as you possibly can. And you'll still have it going through the cab so that psychoacoustically you're hearing and feeling what was going on. So you can get it pretty damn close. Once that's done, you've saved it. That's the rig profiled. So you have to be going through it and have the mic fed into it, and then you're effectively using the processed profiled sound to record. But once that's done, it's like playing a real amp. It's like playing the amp you've just done.
You've got a 8 or 16 bar loop set up for a piece that I need to come in anyway and create some good sounds. We tweaked it. We got it sounding good out of a Marshall downstairs, 4x10. Yeah.
So on the meter bridge, 23 and 24 are my two mic inputs coming in. So you'll see it's live. It's happening. So that's my guitar sound. It's going in through the Kemper. Normally it would be the guitarist actually playing. going in, that's my reference amplifier. What I do is I do a new profile and get it to start profiling. And it's about 45 seconds worth of it sending tones. You might hear some of them coming through. It shuts them off for certain parts of the process. And you might want to edit this to keep the pro, or you're just going to sit here and listen to this.
Yeah.
It's literally about 45
I'm
seconds.
nerdy, I find this really interesting.
So this is being generated by the Kemper through the amp, and the microphones are picking it up. So it's putting it through its paces, getting the tubes working at various different levels and dynamics and frequencies. And once that's done, it's ready to actually listen to, but there is this extra stage where they say to refine the profile. So we'll just let it finish this basic part. And then, as we haven't got a guitarist here, we're going to use the DI again. So once it's, it'll be finished in a second, or it's caught. There we go. So now there's a refining process. So we say refine profile, and we'll just play a bit of the track. And we kind of need to give that about 20-30 seconds, just because what it's done is it's sent its pulses and stuff through the amp, and now it needs to compare what the amp sounds like to what its profile sounds like. So it's kind of just analysing frequency, content and dynamics and everything, and that's probably enough. So we'll finish that, and now I can go between the two. So if I go with a reference amp, and the best thing to do here is to actually record it. So we're in record, I'll just record that section. And then I'll switch it over to the amp, the Kemper, and I'll punch in and out of that section. And then just to put some crossfades on it, because we will get clicks, and there's no jiggery pokery. I just like to use beat detector to put the fades across because it does it nicely. And if we play it back, shouldn't hear. I mean, we can put the files up if you want, but this is going between the two. So that's punched in and out.
Yeah, there is not much difference, is there?
If any. And again, you know, double guitars in a track with other instruments. That's quick. I didn't even go through and actually compare them and, you know, get a guitarist to actually feel whether there's any difference. But that's coming off the Kemper. So, after we've profiled it, we've got front panel controls, which are kind of like a normal amp. We've got gain, bass, middle, treble and presence. So within the Kemper, if I play it, we've got very tactile control over tube amp. So clean it right up. You know, and if we take it right down, we can get into some nice, maybe shove a chorus on there. And on the front panel we've got control over the modulation rate, and so instantly it's a tool that we're able to use. A guitarist can figure it out and it can be saved, and just so useful.
Yeah, we like it.
Brilliant.
We like the Kemper. I've just discovered it.
So yeah, you know, we've got a librarian. We can send each other profiles, but the beauty is I can give the guys that worked on the album their sounds. They can put them into their live rig. They can work on solos at home. They can do anything to make the process more usable. Because, you know, we're not always all in the room together doing it.
Cool.
So it's cool. It's brilliant.